Hello and welcome to today's Delta Credit Tip. Today we're talking about that job you've got and how that can actually affect your credit. So stay tuned, we're going to talk today about how that job can influence that loan right here on today's Delta Credit Tip. Hello and welcome back to today's Delta Credit Tip. I'm Michael Holmes of Delta Credit Restoration, bringing you yet more information to help you in your credit restoration process. Hopefully you'll find this information helpful. If so, give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that every week as we come out with new information to help you in your credit restoration process, you get it as we give it. You can help you right away. So today we're talking about employment and how does your job affect your credit? Now, the thing about your credit report is that it doesn't list how much money you make, all right? So let's just get this answer done in the beginning. Your job does not affect your credit score, okay? But as we've talked about in almost all of our videos in the past, there is a huge difference between having good credit and being lendable. Right? And today we're really talking about lendability and how your job can affect your lendability. Okay? So let's first start talking about unemployment, right? The absence of work. And obviously this is not something that's going to go well when it comes to qualifying for a loan, because as you may have seen in one of our previous videos, there are three things that really lenders are going to look for. One is your willingness to pay, which is pretty much your credit score, and the makeup, charge-off accounts, that kind of thing. Then they're going to have your backup plan or your assets in case something goes wrong. They want to see that you've got a pool that you can pull from to pay them if things go south. And third, your ability to pay on a regular basis, which is your job or your income. Okay, so by missing one of those three legs on a tripod kind of situation, standing your ground is a little difficult to do unless you're able to somehow quantify some sort of income. So no matter how big of a deposit you're going to put down on that house, unless it's 100%, no income is not going to yield you getting a loan. Okay. However, if you have gained employment, what typically an FHA loan is going to look for is that they're going to want to see that you've got 6 months in your current job with a 2-year history in that industry. Okay, so really on any kind of regular employment, that's what they're going to look for. There's going to be exceptions, obviously. If you've had a period of unemployment for over 1 month, they are going to ask you to justify it. And there's some very legitimate reasons. Military, you were pregnant, a seasonal job. There's all kinds of legitimate reasons, including school and training for your current self-employment that can be added to that employment history time. So if you've gone through a period of unemployment and are now working, my suggestion is start crunching those numbers as far as how long you've been in that business, what you were in prior to that job that you're in now, and talk with your lender about how they're going to quantify your income if you're at risk of falling short of that 2-year mark on your current employment. So now let's talk about self-employment. So if you're self-employed, if you own more than 25% of the business in which you currently work, they are going to want to see a 2-year history, and they're going to typically average those 2 years together. So what that means is if you had a really good year and a really bad year, you're going to qualify for somewhere in the middle. So if you're trying to buy property in the beginning of the year and you haven't done your taxes yet, the problem with self-employment is that most people don't want to pay taxes on the money, so they kind of skimp on either what they're claiming as income or they offset it with deductions, right? That's going to kill your loan because it's going to kill that income level that they're looking for to support the payment every month. So if it's during tax season, again, talk to your lender and you may want to reverse engineer how you're doing your taxes. If your self-employment gives you the opportunity to have a higher income, right? You may want to take that higher income to qualify for more house and then later on go back in subsequent years and adjust or do your, bring in those deductions so you're not paying so much taxes, all right? So definitely with self-employment, you're going to want to have to justify that. If you get a lot of overtime and or bonuses, they are going to want to see, again, a 2-year history of that consistency. But I will warn you here. Remember, for us, credit isn't always about doing things on the back end and fixing it. It's about going into these relationships the right way. So if you're going to give your loan officer all this income information on things that could vary, like bonuses and overtime, you may kind of put yourself in a hardship, because if you don't get those bonuses or you aren't going to get that overtime during, I don't know, economic downturns or seasonal times, you may struggle trying to make that payment. So despite the fact that the lender approved you for this huge amount, make sure that the amount that you actually use is good for you and you're not counting on things like bonuses and overtime, because you could create a credit problem for yourself later on down the road. Make sense? All right. Changing of jobs. That's a big one. So if you go from one job to the next, that's fine, but you're going to want to stay in the same industry. Again, they want to see a 2-year history. So you can't go from lawn maintenance to bank management, because you're going to have a problem there, right? They're completely different industries. My suggestion here is don't get caught up on the title. If you could just be customer service, just be customer service, because that can bleed from one industry to the next, okay? You don't want to get so caught up in titles that you create a problem. Also, if you are a W-2, you don't want to shift to a 1099, because you're going from employment to self-employment, and then you'll again get that 2-year mandatory income average that self-employment would take. So employment can be a lot of different ways, and it does affect your lendability, but ultimately what the lenders are going to want to see is proof. So if you get, let's say, Social Security or some sort of disability benefit or something along those lines, an award letter works there, 2-year history for self-employment, pay stubs, bank statements, these are all things that lenders are going to want to see to quantify your income. So again, your job doesn't affect your credit, but it does affect your lendability. My suggestion is, if you've had any kind of changes in your employment or any kind of self-employment or anything like that, talk to your lender before you apply as to how you're going to quantify your income. All right. So hopefully this information helps. If so, again, give us that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell. And tune in next week as we bring you more information to help you make a choice, make a change. Delta.